Are you positioned for a Brexit? Are you positioned for Remain? How have you kind of protected or dealt with your portfolio in advance of this vote?
Well, we're very much in favor of Remain. I think if it were to leave, it would be the most expensive divorce proceeding in the history of the world, and the most complicated as well. So we have continued a long position rather than trying to hedge, in the belief that the British public ultimately would remain.
So you haven't bought protection on sterling? You haven't been out and... because it's too expensive, or because you simply just don't believe it's going to happen?
No, we just felt that the British public would come to its senses and not make this very foolhardy decision to leave.
What kind of market reaction would you expect if that were not to happen?
Well, I think it would be terrible, not just for sterling, not just for the FTSE, for European markets, U.S. markets as well.
Just give me a sense of the scale of what we would see.
I don't know how much percentage-wise, but you can already see the volatility that's occurred in the last week as the sentiment shifted from stay to leave and now back to remain.
Have you... Sorry, Caroline, jump in.
Yeah, Mr. Ross, give us a sense of what's going to be outperforming. Today, I see on the Stock 600, only 5 stocks are currently in the red at the moment. But which sectors are the ones that you want to be overexposed to, if indeed you say the so-called British public come to their senses, or indeed just generally vote to remain?
Right. Well, our largest single holding in UK right now is Virgin Money. As you may remember, we had backed Richard Branson in the original acquisition of Northern Rock from the UK government. We had sold down quite a bit, but we still own around 11% of the company.
So go long, potentially, those sorts of financials. But also, what about that you see in the rest of the Eurozone? Today, we look across at Italy. We see the rise of the anti-establishment parties, Five-Star movement doing particularly well in Rome and Turin. What about the rest of the Eurozone? Because does it end with the UK vote on referendum?
Well, I think the UK referendum, just as a few days ago, the Swiss referendum was also important. Remember, in Switzerland, there had been this proposal to give a guaranteed minimum income to everyone. And the Swiss very wisely voted that down by a substantial margin. That showed good sense on their part, and had they not, I think that disease would have spread throughout Europe and perhaps even to America. So I think each of these referenda are very, very important, not just for itself, but for what it leads to next.